Now we want to rename restaurants data, the buildings data, the roads data, and the schools data on our layers panel. So I'll right click on the vector analysis restaurant, go to rename the layer, and you can actually remove the vector analysis portion of the name. Click out. You can do that as well for the buildings by going to rename layer, take it out, vector analysis. You can do that for roads. Right click on the roads, go to rename layer, remove the vector analysis, and you can also rename for schools. And so once we are done, we have data all looking like what I have here on our layers panel. And now we can use our zooming tool to zoom into our map canvas so we can see the area of interest, the Swaziland town, which is this region here. And since the client wants a property that is within 50 meters to a main road, the first thing we want to do is to make sure our roads and our buildings layers are the only features that are checked on our layers panel. So we can uncheck the schools, the land use, the restaurants, and the places. We already know that Swaziland is around this region here. Okay, we can leave the land use checked. And so once this is done, we want to make buffer for the roads. The buffer will be around 50 meters close to the road. And so we want to use the processing tools of GIS. And so go to processing and click on toolbox. And when you click on toolbox, there's a tool we want to use from the vector geometry. So you can either expand this vector geometry and click on buffer. Alternatively, you can just type in buffer here, and you have it shown from your vector geometry. So you can double click on it to open up the buffer window, as you can see here. And now you can make the input layer to be the road selection. So make the input layer roads, select it, and you can see that the default distance is in meters here, because we are using the projected coordinate system, and it uses the meters as its basic measurement unit. And so because the client wants that the property should be within the distance of 50 meters to the roads, we would need to change this distance here to 50, and so we have it 50 meters. You can leave the segment as it is, 5, and leave every option as it is. And so you can click on run. Once this is done, it runs what we put into the command, and now we have a new layer here. You can click on close. You can see that we have a new layer showing buffered, and so you can click on close and rename the layer. You can call the layer roads underscore buffer underscore 50 meters, and so you have it like this. One thing I failed to mention is you must save your project with a name. You can go to the project just like we've been doing before and click on save as, and you can call it vector analysis. And so once you have it saved like this, you can click on save. You can save it into your model exercise. Click on save, and so you have your project saved with the name vector analysis here at the top left or right hand corner of your QGIS interface. And so, having created a road buffer of 50 meters, you'd notice that there is this tool here, is the temporary scratch layer. And so what we just created is temporal, and so what you want to do is to save it into the vector analysis package that we initially created from the beginning. And so click on it. It opens up this save scratch layer. You want to save it permanently into the package folder, so you look out for the file name for the package file name, which is the vector analysis. Click on it and click on save, and now you can give it a name, the similar name as you have there, roads underscore buffer underscore 50 meters. And so when you click on OK, you notice that this icon here will no longer be there. It's disappeared, so it's no longer temporary. It has been saved now into our vector analysis package database. We may want to zoom in to our map canvas so we can see the representation of the buffer we just created now. So left click on the region of interest, drag around the map canvas and release. You can do it again, and so we can see what we've done. These areas literally correspond to each of the individual roads, and so would need to get rid of this problem because the analysis is already looking so cluttered and very untidy, and so we want to get rid of this problem so we could merge and dissolve everything together. Go to your processing tool again, go to toolbox, you can go to your vector geometry, expand it and double click on the buffer, and so you can select the roads again. Since we want to do something different, change the distance to 50 meters, leave the segments the way it is, and now click on dissolve result. Now click on your run. You will see the difference after having closed the buffer dialog window. Now you'd see that all of the buffers for our roads, it's now looking merged. All has been dissolved. Initially it was looking like these distinct buffers for each road, but now we don't want it so, and we now have everything looking very neat, tidy and merged. So this is what we want exactly. Now you can save up this new layer with the name roads buffer 50 meters dissolved. So right click on the new layer we just created, rename layer and call it roads underscore buffer underscore 50 meters underscore dissolve. And so we have all of the buffers for each of the distinct roads now merged together. And so what we've been able to do is look for areas that are 50 meters within the road in the Swellendam town region of interest. And so just like we did for the initial road buffer 50 meters, we want to save it into a vector analysis package because it's a temporal layer at the moment. So click on this icon, left click on it, and once it opens up this dialog box, the format is package. Use these three dots at the right hand corner, click on it and give it a new name. Select the vector analysis package, click on save, change the layer name to roads, just exactly what you have on your layers panel, roads underscore buffer underscore 50 meters underscore dissolve. And once you have that done, you can now click on OK, and now here you have it without that icon anymore. So it's permanently saved into our vector analysis package. Now the next thing we want to do is to attempt to answer the question of the client. The client wants that the property should be within a reasonable driving distance of school, say 1 kilometer. So we want to do similar representation analysis of what we just did just now. And so for the schools, we want that the property should be within a driving distance of say 1 kilometer within the school region. And so to do this, click on the processing, go to toolbox and double click on buffer again, and so you have this dialog window opened. Now our input layer will be schools, so select the school within a driving distance of 1 kilometer, so change this meters to kilometers. And now we can change this segment. Okay, let's leave the segment to 5. I'll show us something different, and once you're done you can click on dissolve so that we have all of the buffers merged. So click on dissolve and click on run, And so once you click on run, you can now close the processing toolbox. And you notice, let's zoom out a little bit, the extent of the segment is quite rough, and so we may have to do it again. You can right click on it and click on remove and click on OK. So let's go to our processing toolbox again. Click on toolbox, click on the vector geometry, expand it, and double click on buffer. And now we want to select the schools because that's our region of interest. The property must be within a driving distance of 1 kilometer within the school. Let's select school as our input layer and change the distance to 1 kilometer. Change the meters to kilometers. Now let's make the segment say 20 and click on dissolve result. Now we can click on run and notice the changes you have. You can close the processing toolbox. You can see that the segment is quite smooth compared to the initial one where we used a 5 as the default, and so you can see the difference, that it's better and smoother than the previous one. So that's why we use a segment of 20 this time. Now we may have to save it permanently into our vector analysis package, just like we did for the other one. So click on this temporary scratch layer, left click on it, and it brings up this option just like we did before. Use this 3 dot next to your label file name, open it to browse to your vector analysis package, click on save. Then you can change the layer name to, let's say, schools underscore buffer underscore 1 kilometers underscore dissolve. And so once we have this, we can click on the OK to get it reflected here. It's been saved, and so we can now see that it's permanently saved into the vector analysis database. And so we can also change the name here by right clicking and click on rename layer, change it to schools, similar thing to what you have there, underscore buffer 1 kilometer underscore dissolve. And so once this is done, you can click outside the panel